Okay, so if you open up your handbook, it's quite a big document. You should, like I say, have had it printed. You can see all of these pages. What we're going to look at is Competence 1, which is Values, Principles and Practice. So we've got to go quite a long way down. Bear with me. This tells you here, Competence 1, Values, Principles and Practice. These are the elements that you need to be able to demonstrate. So before I showed you the tick sheet, and each of these is detailed on it. When we come to submission, you'll have your grid, and the first thing you want to be doing is your directed task. So you need to look at the safeguarding report, if there is one, from your main agency, and then thinking about the practices and the culture regarding safeguarding. Does it matter? Does anybody ever talk about it? Is it seen as just something for children, or is it a document? Is it training we have to do but we don't really know why? Have a think about these things. First thing you're going to do is a SWOT analysis on safeguarding. So that's looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So looking at safeguarding and health and safety. You can either do 2 SWOT analyses or just do one with both the details on it. Next thing you want to look at is your role in the context of your agency and to whom you're accountable. You can do this in a drawing or as writing. Maybe do a picture with you in the middle and then think about who are you accountable to. Where do you fit in your agency? Who's your line manager? Who is your boss? Is there a team above your line manager? Is there somebody else? Are there people beneath you that you are managing or looking after? Then we want to look at the legal, ethical and policy frameworks and standards relating to safeguarding the welfare of people, staff and all involved. So this is probably the first part that's going to be more of a report. So you need to be writing up what are the legal policy frameworks, the ethical policy frameworks and any other policies and standards relating to the safeguarding of people within your organisation. That isn't just necessarily the clients that you work with, the children, families, teenagers, whoever. That's also including the staff. The next thing you want to again be, this is a writing part, looking at the theological rationale for safeguarding. Where does safeguarding fit into God's plan? We have talked about that in class, but think a little bit around it. Where do you see examples of God caring and wanting to protect people? Any best practice guidelines that are appropriate for your placement. Everybody's placement's different. Everybody will have some, and if not, you might want to write up a few. Then, are there any gaps in the policy and practice? So when you've looked at your safeguarding policy or practice in your placement, have you noticed anything that doesn't happen or that isn't covered? So social media is often something. You might have a separate policy about photographs and putting them on social media, about who can be friends with who, how can people be contacted. There might be other things too. And then finally, you want to be writing proposals for development and future practice. So why do you think safeguarding can be improved or practice can be improved in your placement? This is looking at 15 to 2,000 words. You can see there's quite a few different sections here. So you're not going to have lots and lots of words to write in on any of those. You'll also need to give, as an introduction, some description about your placement, what you do, where it is, who you work for and how you work there. The next thing is your reflective journal. This is very similar to your assignment, so do take care that you're not repeating yourself and that you're answering the question asked. Explore how your theology, values, history and personal experience influences and informs your professional practice. So how do the things that you believe, the values you have, the things you hold, the things you've been through, the things you've learned, how do they shape what you do and why you do it. Look in about 1,000 to maximum 1,500 words on that. This could be a really good basis for your assignment where you're beginning to think about these things, but you cannot submit the same piece of work. Then you need to get an observation from your line manager. The portfolio, the performer for that is on my CYM, the observation competence form there. You need a risk assessment and consent form for a session or activity with an explanatory introduction sheet. You need to explain what it is, what you're showing, and you need to fill in the risk assessment form and a consent form for a session or activity. Number 3 is an activity, resource or session plan that engages people around issues of discrimination or oppression. This might not be something you actually have done or are going to do, but it's to show us and to help you begin to form ideas about writing up session plans, creating activity plans, putting together some resources that would cover some of these things. The examples here are racism and homophobia. It could be to do with ageism. It could be to do with a particular issue in your community. Just think around those things and don't be too limited. The 4th point is the first alternative agency proposal form. You can talk to me or Robin about that. And then your assessment sheets. These all need to be put together in the way you're told to present it, and hopefully then you can hand it in and have a happy Christmas.